Welcome to the Freedive Café, episode 8 with Jean-Pol François. My name is Donny, host of the Freedive Café. The Freedive Café is a place where we get to hear long-form interviews that get into the backstories, the training, the challenges, the passions and fears and personal philosophies of those who choose to adventure on one breath. The Freedive Café can be found at freedivecafé.com. Go to freedivecafé.com to find everything you need to know about listening to the show and connecting to social media. As always, if you have any comments or suggestions, go to the website and leave a message through the contact page. This week was a really exciting week. Episodes of the show have now been downloaded more than 5,000 times. And this week we also saw the first time an episode has been downloaded more than 1,000 times. Okay, I might not sound like much compared to some other major podcasts, but considering this is a very specific niche, I think it's quite amazing. And all the feedback I'm getting is inspiring me to keep it up and keep the amazing guests lined up for you. Some of the names you can expect over the coming weeks and months are Adam Stern, Australian National record holder, Nanja van den Broek, world record holder in variable weight, Goran Jolak, one of the most decorated freedivers of all time, Aaron Solomons will be joining us to share his experience and wisdom, and Stefan Randig, German national record holder and co-founder of Freedive Planet. All those interviews are complete or confirmed, and this is only just scratching the surface. There are so many cool guys and girls lined up to talk that, to be honest, I'm losing track of what's going on. So if you're one of the guests I'm supposed to interview and I didn't get back to you when I should have, you slipped through the net, please get in touch with me. And by the way, if you're a listener who has a recommendation for a guest, please let me know. And if you have your own interesting or inspiring freediving story to tell and would like to come on the show one day and share it, get in touch. If the Freedive Café is important to you, if you want to see it grow and flourish, then consider becoming a patron of the show. We have a Patreon page at patreon.com/freedivecafé, or you can just go to freedivecafé.com and click on the support the podcast button. We now have 14 patrons who are contributing every month, and they're almost paying for the running costs of the show, like podcast hosting, website hosting, and some post-production costs, things like that. I do this whole show on my own. I don't have help from anybody. It takes up a lot of time. So I just want to say to you guys, it's amazing. I can't thank you enough, my little Patreon family. It means so much to me. So let me tell you how this works. You can choose to donate a small amount to the show every month. As little as $1 is greatly appreciated. The price of a coffee in your country would be ideal. It will actually pay for my own coffee as well, without which this show doesn't get made. There are some goals for our Patreon page and some rewards too. Once we reach 25 patrons, I'm going to look into doing a special patrons party, patrons only show, where a few of us get together and talk about freediving and get to ask each other questions and tell our own stories and talk about the guests that we've had on the show and just have fun for an hour or two. Once I reach 50 patrons, I'm going to start releasing a new Q&A episode each month. This is a promise. This will be an episode with a returning guest. The guest will be announced a week or two in advance, and you can send in your questions and ask them whatever you want. Patrons of the show who pledge $5 or more a month will have first priority for questions, then the other patrons, and then everyone else. But I'll divide it up with a system so that everyone has a chance to have their questions answered. So if you like the sound of a Q&A episode every month, get on over to Patreon and join the patron family. On today's episode, we have Jean-Pol François. JP is like the godfather of freediving in Asia. He comes from Belgium originally, and his school, Freediving Planet, is one of the top schools in Southeast Asia. He's been freediving for more than 25 years, participating in international freediving competitions and world championships. He is a current Belgian national record holder and has previously held world records. And he is still an active competitor and member of the Belgian national team. JP arrived in Asia in early 2010 and was one of the first AIDA instructor trainers based in Asia. He is head of education for AIDA, an AIDA instructor trainer, AIDA judge trainer, an AIDA International judge and PADI freediver instructor trainer. JP's episode and show notes can be found at freedivecafé.com. If you have any thoughts or comments about what we discussed in this episode, feel free to leave comments there. Okay guys, let's dive. So you're from Belgium originally?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
And you're from the Flemish, the French part of Belgium, right? Wallonia.
Yeah, south part, French part. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So how is the freediving community in Belgium? I imagine it's not too big, really.
Oh, at the beginning, when we started, it was just a few friends. You know, I started with the scuba diving, so I joined the university club of scuba divers, and then I started to scuba dive in the lakes, to go in the sea in the south of France, in Turkey, and then I discovered some of the guys there were doing some freediving, and at the same time, it's a movie. The Big Blue was at the cinema and everything, just a little bit before I started scuba, and I saw that as yes, this is something I want to do. So there were a few guys, like there were 5, 6 just training together. I joined them, and then I fell in love with the sport, and then from there we started to create some groups, and we get more and more people involved into freediving, and it started to be not that big, but quite kind of consequent number of person already.
Yeah, so you were still like living in Belgium, but you would make trips to freedive in other countries?
Yes, exactly. So what we did mainly, we used to train in swimming pool 1 or 2 times a week, at the same time of the scuba diving school, and then in the weekend we went to the lakes, and once every 3 months we took the car together and we went to Nice, south of France, to do some long weekend training. So that's what we did. We started like that, and after, when we were a little bit more organized, we started to organize trips like in Turkey or in Egypt.
So did you actually do a freediving course with one of the big organizations like AIDA or CMAS or something like that?
I started because I was in a CMAS club, so we started with CMAS, and I started to do all my certification, CMAS 1, 2, 3, and then I become an instructor from CMAS, and I work first. I'm not really working, but I just did some certification first with CMAS. Then we joined Apnea Academy, because we joined the first clinic instructor course that Umberto Pellizzari organized in Sardines, and we passed the certification there. And a few years later, as we went in the south of France, in Nice, we met the guys regularly, like Claude Chapuis and Louis Cleferme, and we decided with them to create also the AIDA, because AIDA France existed already, but to create the same structures in Belgium, and then AIDA Belgium just born there.
Oh, okay, so you actually personally played a part in establishing the Belgian AIDA organization.
Yes, exactly. I have to say that we were the first country right after France who set up the AIDA in Europe.
Ah, okay, interesting. So how long ago was this?
Oh, that's a good question. I have not too much idea of the time, but minimum 23 or 24 years old. I started freediving in 1989, actually.
Wow. So you almost started freediving when the Big Blue came out, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny about that film how it seems like no matter like what age people are, there's so many divers who were influenced by it in such a big way.
Yeah, I think it's good thing because the movie was kind of nice. Of course, there were a lot of mistakes, technical mistakes related to freediving, but it creates some kind of philosophy about what freediving should be. Of course, it's involved in the after that, but at the beginning, it was a good start. It did some good and some bad, I would say, at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's quite nice how it shows two different personalities involved in freediving, and it's actually kind of like what we see in freediving today. The kind of division between more kind of maybe spiritual or maybe emotionally minded freediving, and then freedivers who are more about competition and trying to break through their athletic limits and things like this.
Yes, exactly. I think we can see that a little bit like that. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's a good image. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you started freediving, for you personally, what do you remember finding most difficult about the sport in the beginning?
Actually, I didn't find it very, very difficult because before I started with scuba diving, I was a competition swimmer. And at top level, I was training like 2 to 3 hours every day before school and after school, and every weekend we went to competition. So I was already super good in the water. And then since I was a competition swimmer, I used to compete and I have to high level challenge. So when I started freediving, it was so easy for me. It was just natural, and I was able to hold my breath for a long time. I was able to do already 100 meters dynamic just as a beginner. So, and the only part that I had to manage, it was the depths, and just it took me like a few weeks to be able to reach 20 meters, and I get stuck at 20 because we were some kind of beginners, some kind of a pioneer in the sport, and we trained in lakes, dark, cold, zero visibility, of course, and we had to adapt. And step by step, we increased the confidence, and we built this kind of comfort zone, and we were able to go deeper. It took us a lot of time to reach the 30 meters, but once we went there, when we went to the sea in Nice or in Turkey or in Egypt, it was super easy to go deeper and deeper. So I think we had the good approach to take the step by step.
Yeah, it seems that with freediving, it's better to take the long way than the short way, right?
Yes, exactly, and it gives you much more pleasure. Yeah.
So eventually, at some point, you started competing in competitions. Can you tell us a bit about that? Like, which competitions did you compete in first, and what were the first records that you got? Because I know that you got quite a few national records and still do, and even world records at some point, right?
Yeah, actually, so since my swimming background, I always loved the competition and the challenge. So at the beginning, not really with AIDA, it was a lot of competition already, like 2 or 3 competitions, not a lot, but 2 or 3 competitions every year that were organized by the French friends. So it was in Paris, it was also in Switzerland and stuff like that. So we did many competition in swimming pool. So I joined every time I could join a competition, and then it was the first AIDA World Championship organized in Nice by Claude Chapuis and his team. This I don't remember exactly when it was. It's a long time ago, I guess. But yeah, I started to do many competition every year. I started to travel for the competition, and it was very nice because you could see that the sport was building up, more and more people involved in competition. At the same time, so I was still training, and when I started freediving, most of the young generation, no, they don't even remember that, but there was the difference between the sea and the lakes. So there were world records in lakes and world record in sea.
Right.
So I was training to do the world record in legs first in free immersion. So I did 3 times world record in legs. Of course, the depth, no, it's ridiculous when you think about what we can do now. But again, we were a pioneer. We didn't know what's happening down there. So step by step, we increased the depth. I was quite happy to be part of this. After that changed completely, and it was only one sea or fresh water or salt water. It was the same. I know that to make it a little more simple in front of the media.
Yeah, and you, I mean, you also now have the Belgian the national record for constant weight.
Yes, they got the constant weight and the static apnea still.
Yeah, so it's nice that you've been able to not only be a pioneer in the beginning, but continue to compete for such a long time and maintain your status at the same time.
Yeah, it's because I like the competition. No, I do less and less because I don't have so much time to train. But sometimes, yes, I still enjoy to meet the people and to have this good vibes when we see the people in the competition. Of course, it's competitions. People compete against each other, but there is no such rivalry between the people. We are still keeping friends, and that's I think it's a good mentality that we have, good philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was speaking to Stéphane Toureau, and he said that, he realized that the competition is really a place for freedivers to get together and work on their personal bests, in a sense, rather than just come to beat people,
Exactly. Yeah. The only competitors you have in competition of freediving, it's yourself. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you said that you're quite busy these days, and I know that for personally, because I did my AIDA 4 with you guys at your place in Moalboal in the Philippines. And thank you very much for that, by the way. It was a very good experience.
It was a pleasure to have you, of course.
Thank you. So can you tell us about how the Freediving Center got started?
Okay, so when I arrived in Asia in 2010, I was working as a technical scuba diver. I was diving a lot for scuba, for almost like commercial diver. And then I was in Asia, and I know that there was a lot of things to do about freediving. There's not too much community doing freediving at that moment. So I was studying a little bit the market and said, okay, I think this is a place and a time to create something about freediving. So we set up a company, Freediving Planet, I set up first, I was alone, in Hong Kong in 2012. And then I get joined by my actual business partner, Suzanne Lim, Suzy. And after that, we started to travel to Philippines. Actually, I was alone to start it. So I discovered the Philippines, and I said, yeah, this is also a very good place because everything is nice. There's the sun. The sea is good enough. So I found a nice place in Moalboal with all the depths that I wanted to find, not far away from the reef. And then I said, okay, this is also a place where I can set up a school. And then in 2013, we started to create the company also in Philippines, and now we have Freediving Planet Moalboal.
Yeah. Yeah, and for anyone listening, it's and you want a place that's very relaxed and has pretty incredible depth right out the front of the shop, right? It's only like 25 meters, and then you hit like 100 meters depth or something like that.
Yeah, actually, we have the reef, the host reef, just right after you have a wall, which will bring you easily to 20 to 40 meters. And after the wall, you swim 50 more meters, and we have installed a buoy at 67 meters. And 10 more meters away from there, we have another buoy on 110 meters, yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice. So by this point, you've trained hundreds of students and also instructors. I think a lot of the instructors in this part of the world were trained by you. How did you, was it just a natural progression for you to become an instructor? or was that something you planned from the beginning?
Yeah, but from the beginning, I was already like an instructor with the CMIS, and I teach already many people how to first to pass the different level of CMIS. Then after we joined the AIDA system, and quick enough, I become an instructor trainer. I don't remember exactly when it was, but at the beginning we were no really standard. We had just some kind of minimum requirement that we had to do. We had some little knowledge about the theory, so we did our best to create with friends, with the sort of friends and Claude Chapuis and his team, to create some kind of manual, some kind of theory topics to give to the instructors. And then I really like this part of the sport, of the job, to teach to instructor, because it's very important to give them the good idea and the good philosophy about what freediving is and what they need to do and not to do with their students, talking about the recreational freediving. So I really love this part. And of course, sometimes I have people who do competition, and it's totally different part of the job. In this case, we don't talk about instructor anymore, but better like trainer or coach, where you teach the people to have better performance. But it's nothing to do or to become an instructor.
Yeah. But I mean, it must be good for you to be in the position of the instructor trainer and make sure that the standards are kept as high as possible. Because you're head of AIDA education, right? So
yes,
maybe you can involve what that job involves, being head of AIDA education.
Yeah. So actually, we have a little group of person, and like we could say that project manager, and we try to improve and to implement the rules of the standards for every courses. So when some things works fine, then we keep it, of course. And then when something can be improved, we work on this, and we try every year, every 2 years, to improve and to adapt the AIDA standards to the reality of the market.
So what can we expect in the future from AIDA as far as the educational standards go? What kind of progress do you see there being? What can you predict will happen with freediving standards in the future?
Okay, if we focus on AIDA, so I can see as an education officer the statistic of the record of the new people. So we have more and more people registering to AIDA who wants to do the AIDA courses. So that's the proof that AIDA gets good standards. Are the standards perfect? No, they will never be, but we work on that. And then, so more and more we have instructors also. So now we have more than 1,000 active instructors in the world, and it's increasing every week. I have to validate new instructors. So that's quite good. So I can see that the number is increasing. So with this increasing number, we have more and more financial resource, and which means that we can invest in more professional materials. As we know, so far, AIDA is still a non-profit organization. So all the people involved in the organization are still non-paid. So it's still based on voluntary. So that's what I would like in the future, that AIDA become more professional. And we are at a step that we're going to need to go through there. Otherwise, it's not going to be easy for us, like a non-corporate company, to compete with a big corporate company, well established, that they get the board, they get the finance, they get the workers to help to develop easily the stuff. So here we do our best with what we have, and we are quite happy with the results. But if we want to go to the next level, maybe we need to think about a corporate organization. So again, it's going to be discussions, because some of the people, they like the idea, but some of the people, they don't like the idea. So we need to manage to make the balance.
Yeah, you need to find a compromise in that regard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So so what you're saying is that freediving is growing so fast, and so many people are registering for AIDA courses that there needs to be some kind of change in the structure to make sure that AIDA continues to function as well as possible.
Exactly, in the structures, or I mean in the organization, to make the life of the instructors and the people who are working for AIDA a little bit easier. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, and when you say that there are 1,000 AIDA instructors, I mean, if you think about it, if you compare that to like scuba instructors, it's quite a small amount, really, but it's growing very fast.
Yes, it is. It's a very exponential progression in the last few years.
Yeah. Do you think that the standards for AIDA instructors, I mean, I personally think the standards are quite high already. I mean, even just doing the AIDA 4 course and being present with those who are doing the instructor course, it is quite demanding. Demanding on the body and demanding on the mind too. So I do respect the AIDA instructor qualification, the certification. Do you think it should be even higher?
I think, of course, the standards from AIDA are exactly quite challenging, and this is the big reproach that I have from the people that told us, okay, I'm not really a that good swimmer. I can pass all the requirements from the swimming test and everything, but when it means to go, for example, an AIDA 2, they need to go 16 to 20 meters, which is quite challenging for most of the people. So yes, people told me that it's very hard to get the requirement. But on the other hand, that's the challenge that the instructors needs to take to bring the students to the level. If the instructor needs to add 2 or 3 more sessions to be sure that the students can reach the level, of course he needs to do it. Comparison with some other organization, and that's their choice. It's not a bit easy to become a level 1, level 2, or level 3. But with AIDA, we just keep as it is, and then to make it a little bit harder, not really. I wouldn't ask to make it, for example, we will never ask an instructor to prove that he can dive to 50 or 60 meters. It's not the objective of an instructor. You need a minimum, like 40 meters. I think it's already something good. But to make it a little bit more harder, no, we are not in the competition here. It's recreational. So we want to be sure that the people and the instructors get the right education and the right techniques. So I like to say that first, before to insist on the performance, we need to insist on the techniques. And I describe myself not really like an instructor, but as a technician instructor. This is a big difference here.
Yeah. I personally agree with you that, I mean, you can't really expect too much more from the instructors in terms of the requirements. I mean, 40 to 50 meters is already quite a serious dive. And there may be people who will dive for 10 years and won't reach 40 meters. So it is very reasonable.
Yes, it is. And for some people, it's going to be challenging. And they know when they need to join an instructor course, they need to be ready and prepared to reach this level. It should be something like they can manage easily. So I like, when I give the instructor course, I like the people to be able to manage the 40 meters and to do it 2 or 3 times during the instructor course with a free immersion, with a variable weight, with a constant weight, but on an easy way.
You also train AIDA judges, right? And those are the judges that function officially during the competitions organized by AIDA.
Yes, exactly. So it's part of my job also to help the AIDA organization with the judges themselves. So, and it's good because, you know, AIDA, we have the education part when we do all the courses, and on the other hand we have the competition. So that's what AIDA is doing. So, but to organize competition, we need judges. Since we have more and more people joining competition, and if we look at the calendar on the AIDA website, we can see that every weekend there are many competition, swimming pool or depth competition organized all over the world. To organize competition, we need athlete, we need of course organizer, but we need also the judges. So that's very good that countries and people want to become judges, because like that we can even develop more the activities, we can organize more competition all over the world. So it means more competition, more members, and then it helps to develop the the activities. It helps to develop AIDA and to create some kind of publicity behind that. So this is something I like to help to have more and more educated judges at the competition.
Yeah, and that education must be super important for the judges. The reason I bring that up is because I mean, you do train AIDA judges, so perhaps you can comment on this. There have been a couple of guests on the show who have given some criticism about the AIDA competition safety standards. One has said that a couple have said that the surface protocol is maybe too easy, which leads to divers pushing too hard because they can get away with messy dives coming up in bad shape. Which also puts the safety in more danger as well. And there's also been a couple of incidences where there were quite easily avoidable mistakes that were potentially quite dangerous. From your position, what do you think about this, and how do you think the standards will improve if they can be improved?
Since the beginning, so I did the first AIDA competitions, I can see these rules, this AIDA competition rules have evolved a lot. So I can tell you that before they were completely different regarding just the surface protocol. So the idea is to be able that every judge can judge the same way, not with a personal adaptation of the rules. We want to be sure that the judge from France, a judge from Italy, a judge from Egypt, a judge from China, they're gonna judge with exactly the same way a surface protocol. So we try to simplify some of the rules that would be easily to interpret in the past. So this is what the group, the judge and sport officer and the AIDA board member I try to do to simplify the rules to be sure that every judges can judge the same way. About the safety, again, yes, we have more and more competition. We have more and more people pushing sometimes their limit because that's what they do. They want to improve their performance in static, in dynamic. It's quite nice. They train for that. They probably take some risk at some points if they want to improve. So during their own training, normally in competition, professional freediver that shouldn't push too much the limit because it's not a good idea to try to break a personal best. I know some of the people will do that, but normally if you are smart enough, you try to stay in your comfort zone during the competition. So about the safety, it comes also with the depth because we have more and more people going deeper and deeper. So we need to organize and to improve the safety. And yeah, when accidents happen, which we analyze what, why, and what can we do to improve it. Do we need to implement something in the rules to be sure that it doesn't happen anymore? And yeah, that's why we have a brand new chapter 4 in the rules talking about the safety. So, and how can we limit, for example, the dives of the announcement for the athletes in case of blackout, in case of squeeze. So in case of squeeze, you cannot dive anymore. In case of blackout, the doctor has the kind of power to say to the athletes, okay, you cannot dive anymore, or you can dive, but you have to limit your dive at 70 or 60% of what you planned to announce and stuff like that. So that's quite good. It changed since the death of Nick Mevoli. Then we created all these rules. For example, also the non-turning rules. So when the people go down, start to ascend and go down again, if you do that, you will be disqualified. So it helped to improve the safety already of the athlete. That's really the main objective in a competition, is to be sure that the athlete can stay safe. And of course, we cannot do anything against athletes who are very, very pushy, pushing their limits too far. But well, we try to improve. We really try to improve.
So I heard somebody say that there's a possibility that freediving might go to the Olympics. What do you think about that?
Oh, I heard this for more than 20 years. So I look forward to see if something can move. Quite no, I'm not sure really that it will happen, but if it happens, yeah, it would be a good move. Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the fun stuff. What is your personal favorite freediving discipline?
I started as a swimming pool freediver, so I was good in static. So that's really what I like to do, the static. And I'm not bad also in dynamic. I'm not like the athlete right now, but I like the sport with the glide and the monofins. So I've been using monofins since the beginning. I was one of the first competitors using monofins in AIDA competition.
Hmm. And what about the depth disciplines? Which one do you think suits you best?
I like all. I like all of the disciplines. I have the background of swimming competition, so the CNF, I like the discipline, but free immersion I like because it's more relaxed. You can more focus on your feeling, and I like also the monofin concentrate because there's a little bit challenge. You need a little bit more training and technique. So I like all actually. I have no preference for one of the others.
Yeah, I mean, as an instructor, you've seen so many hundreds of students come by your way. What do you think? What do you think are like the timeless mistakes that beginners just keep on making?
It's the pushing the limit first, so thinking about the numbers and the ego. So
right.
really,
Yeah.
so this is the biggest mistake. So, but I teach them, I tell them that, okay, this is not the most important. First, go with the technique. When the technique is good, then it means that you will build a little bit more confidence. And then with this confidence, more safety. And then if you have more safe, then you can start to go a little bit deeper. So first, go with the technique and take your time. The slower will be the faster approach.
So what kind of training do you recommend for freediving that is non-freediving? Like additional types of training like yoga, weightlifting, high intensity training, that kind of thing. What do you think is most advantageous?
So again, it depends what's your objective. If you want to train for competition and improve your performance, yeah, you need to think about the gym, to go to different kind of cross training, not only spending your time in the water. So there are many different approaches depending what kind of discipline. If it's free immersion, if it's CNF, only static or dynamic. So it depends. It really depends what's your objective here. But it's good always to add some gym training for sure on the side.
If somebody lives away from the ocean, and even if they live away from the pool, like what can you recommend for them to do as their weekly freediving training?
I give you the example of Patrick Musimu. He was one of the champions a few years ago, and he was in Belgium, in my country. And yeah, we don't have the sea, we don't have we have the sea, but no one's want to dive into it, and it's not deep anyway. So he had to create his own program to the gym to be able to train. And then just a few weeks before he had to do a record or a competition, he just take a flight, go to the place and start to train to adapt the body to the depths. But when he arrived, his functioning, his muscles were already ready for that. So it just had to tune up a little bit the pressure and the adaptation, and it worked fine for him. So yes, there are different kind of exercise that you will be able to train for your legs, for the stamina. That will be very beneficial, even if you don't train in the sea or in the swimming pool. You can do also breath hold exercise during you do the pushing with the legs, for example, or different kind of stamina exercise.
Can you talk a little bit to what kind of equipment you like to use? I mean, you've been in this business for a long time, so you've seen a lot of brands, probably seen some brands come and go. What companies, what gear do you like to use now?
So I like in terms of competition. Now I'm diving with a monofin from Molchanov. They are quite performant. I like also the waterway monofin because they are very good quality and at very affordable price. So that's two brands that I like at all for the fins and for the monofin. So waterway, they do also the Captain Nemo fiber and carbons by fins. And the Molchanov are also very good quality fins. I know on the market there are many different other brands. I tested some of the other one and I wasn't so happy with, I'm not going to give the name, but I wasn't so happy with those ones. I like to test the equipment first before to tell this is a good one, this is advantages and this disadvantages. So far, the two brands that I give are quite good for all the levels.
Yeah. Everyone everyone that I've asked this question has said that they use the Molchanov monofin so far. So you're not alone there.
That's good. Yeah, but every manufacturers of monofins, you need to look what is the background, how many years they've been into this business. So that's why Alexei, he knows exactly what he likes for monofins, what are the technical characteristics to create the performance. And the waterway, they started to do monofins for monofin swimmers competitors, and so they know what they're talking about also in terms of techniques for the monofin. And also now we have a lot of companies who create some wetsuits. So there are good quality and bad quality, and then I think it's easy to find out what are the good brands and more or less good or less good.
And what do you personally like to use?
In terms of wetsuit, we like to use the Best Dive made in China and also the Helios. They are quite similar. It's the same kind of neoprene, and the manufacturers is quite good with the way to realize and to make the wetsuit. So they know what they're talking about.
I mean, in your time as a freediver, these 25 years or so, or even more than 25 years, you must have been to quite a few places around the world diving. What are your favorite dive sites, your favorite locations to visit that you would recommend for a combination of the ability to train and the natural beauty and the condition of the ocean as well?
Okay, so actually there are many places. It's very hard to say which one would be the favorite, but I started first with when I was in the south of France, so that was quite nice, not far away, so still in Europe, of course. Then Turkey, I really love the place. I stayed for almost 1 year in Turkey, working in a dive shop over there as a freedive instructor, and it was nice.
Whereabouts in Turkey was that? Just out of curiosity.
It's the south of Antalya. It's a little village called Kaş, Kas, and it's a lovely. No, it's a long time I haven't been there. I know it's super developed because it's a nice place also for the scuba diving. There are many hotels now, and there were all the depths that we wanted to find. It was we put a buoy on 100 meters or so over there, and this place is very nice. Egypt, we have been many times to Egypt, like Hurghada, Sharm el Sheikh, and Dahab. So the last few times it was only in Dahab. So Dahab, it's quite nice for the blue hole. But when I remember the first time I went to the blue hole, I was almost the only freedivers on the site, so that was quite nice. A few years later, it was like a big traffic jam motorway, so no one wants to go there anymore. So that's the problem with the blue hole. But it's still good to people who want to discover Egypt and historic cultural part. It's quite nice. And now Asia, there are many amazing sites. So that's why I set up my activities, my Freediving Planet Center in Philippines, because this is really beautiful here. It's like a small paradise, but you can find that also in Thailand, in Malaysia. Not even though if you don't have all the depths part, but there are more and more places in Asia than you can do freediving.
Yeah, when I was there in the Philippines, Guillaume Neri was doing a tour there, and he was made a representative by the Philippines government, right, for free diving in the country. So, what are the best places to dive in the Philippines, and do you see the Philippines as like an important place for the freediving community in its development?
Actually, yes, the objective now with this Guillaume Neri expedition, as we call that, with the Department of Tourism, because we were the co-organizer with Department of Tourism of the Philippines. The objective is to make the Philippines the freediving capital of Asia, and I think we succeed about that. To decide to tell what is the best site to free dive or to scuba dive in Philippines, it's impossible because Philippines, it's more than 7,000 islands. Most of the islands are not even habited. They have no one on the islands, but it starts to develop, and there are places when it's very good and favorable for scuba and free diving. So yeah, let's see in the future. We're gonna have new hubs, new spots where we will be able to do our sports over there. Right now, to spot one destination, yes, I would say Moalboal, of course.
Of course, yeah, and everybody else should go there too.
Yeah, it's just right. It's good to try to discover how beautiful is the place.
Yeah. I mean, diving in Moalboal was. I mean, I don't know much about the ecology there because I was just focused on deep diving, but one thing that did stand out was the amount of plastic that we see coming through the ocean. Of course, this is not just a problem in Moalboal, or even the Philippines. It's everywhere. Every time I go in the water anywhere, I have the same problem. Do you have any ideas about how we can approach the problem of the terrible situation that the oceans are in?
Yeah, first we need to make the people understand what's happening and why we have this situation. And Philippines, it's still not that bad comparison with country like Indonesia, Bali. So when it's much worse. Sometimes in Philippines, we can have 1 or 2 days because of the current, because of the storm, and we have a lot of plastic. But most of the time we don't have that. So first, if we can try to help every free divers, every time we see a plastic, we just pick it up. But it's not gonna help. It's not enough. So we need to sensibilize the government, the local authorities to do something, to implement some education with the plastic and to stop to use plastic everywhere. So it will come first with the government, with the publicity, with organization that's going to invest some money to be sure that the message will go through the people. And then that's important that we change the mentality about this pollution. And it's not only in the Philippines, it's worldwide. And most of the people know that they know what's happening, if they need to do something right now, today.
And do you think that that freedivers should be, and freediver instructors should have some kind of special responsibility to educate people about this, or do you think that should just be their personal, decision? Would you see like some kind of ecological education, conservational education in the AIDA system? Could you see that happening at some point?
Yes, that's definitely something that must be implemented. And when we do any courses, we always remember to the people, take care of your environment. Don't disturb, don't throw stuff. If you can help to remove the plastic or the garbage, do it. So be an ambassador of the sea. And that's what I like to say to the people, okay, we love the sea because we are kind of lover of the sea, the animals, the blue, everything down there is beautiful. So we need to preserve it if we want to enjoy it and see it as beautiful as it is. So we need to be proactive in this war against the plastic, for sure, and against the garbage.
For sure. So what other interests do you have outside of freediving, JP? Or is freediving everything for you?
Yeah, so far it takes me a big part of my life, but of course I like other sports, other activities. Every time I can go to do some snowboarding at the mountain, I will do that. Okay, in Philippines it's not that easy, but when I go Europe sometimes, okay, this time I will go skiing. I like also rock climbing. And yeah, every sport. I'm not very difficult with the sport, but I like a little bit extreme sport with adrenaline stuff like this. Otherwise, next to the sport, I'm like everybody. I like to read. I like to go to the cinema, go to the museum, and meet people. I like to go restaurant, enjoy some good food, some good place, some traveling. So yeah, I'm kind of normal person, I would say.
And when you wake up in the morning, do you have some kind of like special like a morning ritual that you do? Like, I know some people have like a ritual where they have to do some like drink some tea, do some yoga, do some writing, something like that. Is there like a routine that you have, or do you just see how it goes when you wake up in the morning?
No routine at all. I just try to say, okay, I wake up. It's gonna be another beautiful day, and then try to make it as happy as possible, and that's it. I try to put my smile and go to work and enjoy and share my good mood with everybody. So that's important to wake up with a good mood. Yeah.
Nice. So, what are your plans for the future? Like, where do you see Freediving Planet going in the future, and where do you see yourself personally in 10, 20 years time? Do you have any idea, or do you just again take it one day at a time?
No, of course we have some plans. We have some development ideas with Freediving Planet to create other centers, to develop new production in different products. Step by step, we do that. In 20 years, of course, I cannot say where I will be in 20 years. Probably I will be completely retired, I hope, and then entering my retirement. So, but no, I don't see that far. But I hope that in 20 years there will be some people who will take over the freediving planet, the young generation. Why not my son or the friends that I used to work with? But we'll see. It's kind of a surprise. It will be the surprise for the future.
What I don't understand about you, JP, is that it seems like you've been in the freediving world for 30 years, but I mean, I've met you personally and spent quite a bit of time with you, and you still look like you're 30 years old. So how do you manage to do that?
Oh, it's a secret. I cannot tell.
It's a secret. All right. Well, let's hope that freediving is the secret, and if we all just keep freediving as much as possible, we'll look like you when we get to your ripe old age, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think anyway, just a kind of healthy life. And just take care, doing some sport every day. So yeah, activities, I can keep you active. And I don't know about the aging process. I guess I'm kind of lucky guy in this situation. Yeah.
So I'm just going to ask you one more question, because I love books and I love finding out what other people like to read. And do you have a book or some books that you would recommend for the readers? Like if you had to take one book to a desert island with you, which book would that be?
Well, that's a difficult question because
I
like many kind of book. Sometimes I like to read science fiction. Sometimes I like to read like police books. I don't have really one book. One of book that I really love when I was younger is called La Nuit des Temps in French. I think they have a translation like The Ice People from Barjavel. It's science fiction. I really like this book. Frank Herbert, Dune, all the cycle of Dune.
Yeah, classic.
Very beautiful. Yeah, classic. It was very beautiful. I like also some Asimov. The one talking about the foundation, about dunes, about the robots. This is, this kind of book that I really like. And more recently, I like author David Van. He wrote some beautiful books about the solitude, about the people. Shukwan Island, that's the name of the book I was looking for.
Is that a science fiction book?
No, not at all. It's a story about a father and his son who get to a place in the north of Canada, I think, or north of America. Don't remember the place, but it's beautiful books actually. So.
Mm. Are you familiar with a Scottish author called Ian M. Banks?
Not really. I know the name, but I'm not familiar with it.
So he is he passed away a couple of years ago, but he's an amazing science fiction author. So if you're looking for new science fiction books, he's my absolute favorite, and really, really, really amazing stories like you don't usually see in science fiction. So if you ever have any time, JP, in your busy life, then and you see some Ian Bank book in the airport, that's one you should definitely pick up.
I will definitely. Thank you for the advice. I will definitely check that. I like to discover also books and authors like that. So thank you for the trip.
No problem. I'll send you a link with some suggestions. So let's just finish up the interview by letting everyone who's listening know, like, where can they find you? I mean, they can find you in Malboal on Cebu in the Philippines at the shop. What about social media? Do you have like a Facebook page and Instagram and things like this?
Yes. On Facebook, you can find me under my name, so Jean-Pol François. We have also a Facebook page for Freediving Planet. So we have two actually. One for Freediving Planet Hong Kong, we just call that Freediving Planet, and the other one is Freediving Planet Marlborough that you can find. So you will see with the two whale tails logo. That's the logo of the company. So it's easy to find us. I have an account also on Instagram. I don't know if I remember the name. InstaGPF, something like that. And InstaJP, something like that. That you can find. Yeah, I start to make more and more pictures that I like to take underwater pictures. So I start to put more and more pictures on the Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to seeing more pictures, and for those who are listening, I'll put all those links in the show notes, as always. JP, thank you again so much for taking the time to sit down and talk to me and to let everyone listen to your story and your thoughts on freediving. I know you're really busy at the moment and you just arrived in like a new island adventure. So thanks, and I hope that you have a really, really nice time in Saipan.
Oh yeah, for sure, Anthony. And you're more than welcome to come back to Marlborough and to do some training. Yeah? Keep going with what you're doing because it's very, very nice. So definitely we will push up also to make you keep going. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll let you go. Have a really nice evening, and let's talk again soon. Okay.
Okay, Donny. Take care.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks to JP for sitting down with us when he's so busy and giving us a really nice talk about all things freediving. What did you think of the show? Let me know. Add me on Facebook. My name is Donny Mac. I'm on Instagram as Donny McFar, and I'm here to answer questions and listen to your suggestions for how to make the show better. Remember to subscribe to the show through your favorite podcast provider so you don't miss an episode, and share the Freedive Café with your friends. Until next time, dive safe.